Okay. Okay. So we need a Gemara Baba Kama, but we'll begin like this.
Need a Baba Kama?
Yeah, have a Gemara Baba Kama.
Over here. Right.
Just start. So Baruch Hashem, we get together as a house, as a prelude to the Yachei Kala, and just the learning itself, in and of itself, is either as a Hagdoma or as a learning for itself, has tremendous koyach, tremendous power. And I just like to begin by saying, we say by davening every day, a heartfelt tefillah, thank you. The same belibeinu bino lahavin lahaskal lishmei alilmid olamed lishma v'lasais ulakayim estivri talmud terasecha. Pashup Pshat is we're davening a heartfelt tefillah about learning, and learning would mean we understand the same belibeinu bino lahavin, to have an understanding, lahaskal, the intellect, the depth of the Torah, lishmoya, to hear the Torah from the right places, lilmoid, to learn the Torah, lalamed, to teach the Torah. But then it seems like the tefillah goes off, and we'll say about lishmar v'lasais ulekayim. Lishmar sounds like it goes on mitzvahs, v'lasais on mitzvahs ulekayim, to accomplish mitzvahs. So what's the lishmar v'lasais ulekayim? I saw somebody says a pshat, it's all going on Limud Torah. People learn Torah and you makayim Limud Torah. But then there's a level of Torah which is lishmar, where it becomes shamur in you. Lasais, you make chedushay Torah. Lekayim doesn't only mean to accomplish. It's like what we say by davening, lekayim banu chachmei Yisrael, to preserve the chachmei Yisrael. We should have a Torah of preservation. A Torah where it has a kiyum, it makes a difference in our lives. I think this kind of Torah, be'iyun, with a devotion to Torah, is something special that's personified by symbolized by the Yachei Kala. So we'll begin. I'm sure now I just heard halacha l'maaseh, but my forte is doing on not the halacha l'maaseh. It's on the lomdus in the background of the Inyan. Now, in order to talk about the Nyona de Kala that I was told to speak about is Shomer Socher. So we know there's Dalit Shomer, there's Shomer Chinam, Shomer Socher, HaSocher, and HaShoyel. And a Shomer Chinam is Chayiv B'Pshiyah, and a Shomer Socher, who's getting paid, is Chayiv B'Gneva V'Aveda. A Shoyel who could use it himself is Chayiv even B'Oinsen. So it's all levels of the same category, which is called Hilchos Shomrim. Now, any yeshiva person who learns, one of the famous places where we start the inyan of Hilchos Shomrim, and especially Shomer Socher, is the Gemara, the famous Gemara, Masechtas Baba Kama, Daf Nun Vav Amud Beis, because the Torah tells us, which we learn from a pasuk, that Shomer Aved, if you find an Aveda, besides the regular halacha of Hashavas Aveda, Vashiv Teshivim, it becomes incumbent on the person that he becomes a shomer. Now, how do we know he becomes a shomer? Happens to be a machlekes, which is not for in you right now, that he becomes a shomer. Rashi says it comes from the words v'yosafta el beisecha. So somehow there's a chiyuv, there's an obligation for the person who found Aveda to be the shomer of the Aveda. But there's a machlekes in the Gemara. What level shomer does the shomer Aveda become? So everybody knows that Rabbah holds he becomes a shomer chinam, and Rabbah is understandable because he's not being paid. So he's not being paid. He's just doing the job of the shomer Aveda. So therefore he's a shomer chinam. He's only chayav b'pshiyah. He's potter b'gneva v'Aveda. How? No, we'll see in a second. Where Rabbi Yosef holds, he becomes a Shomer Socher, and the Gemara, everybody knows it from Cheder. It's because of Pruta of the Rabbi Yosef, because while he's watching the Aveda, he's being Isaac b'mitzvah v'ashavas Aveda. So therefore, he would be potter if an ani comes up to him, and he would be potter of giving him a rifta. Just as parenthetically, the Gemara used the words, he'd be potter from giving him bread. Why does the Gemara say bread? Usually, what do you give the ani? You give him money. Why does it say bread? Because he's a shomer socher even on Shabbos, not only on during the week. So therefore, the Gemara has to say rifta, because it would also be the din. And it happens to be in the Sefer Yelas HaShacham, Aron Reb Shneinaman, So that's how Rabban Leib asked the question, and what happens if the Shomer Aved is an Oni? He's parted from Tzedakah. If he's parted from Tzedakah, so he wouldn't have the fruit of the Rav Yosef. And I am sure, I was going to say you could write a separate sefer on the Yesod of Prut of the Rav Yosef, but I'm absolutely sure that there must be a sefer on Prut of the Rav Yosef. But that's the Yesod. Or maybe even on Shabbos, Shechal b'Shabbos. Oh, it's been attacked, this sugya, and been attacked and explained in so many different ways. But that's where Rabbi Yosef holds Yechai v'Gneva Aveda because you're a Shem Masacha. But everybody forgets there's one more line in the Gemara. That's the famous reason of Rabbi Yosef. The next line, the Gemara says, "Ikedim aparshi hochi." Rabbi Yosef Omar, Kishay Masacha Dami, Kiven derachmona shavdei bal karchai, hilkach Kishay Masacha Dami. Not because of the reason of Rabbi Yosef. Since the Torah made him Shabdei, the Torah put it on his shoulders, that's why he's a Shem Mesachar. And Pashtus, most Achronim learned that's an independent reason why he's a Shem Mesachar, because Rahman Shabdei, which there could be a problem with the fruit of the Rabbi Yosef, because who's really paying you? Who's paying you? A penny saved is a penny earned. But who are you? Who is the one who's making the payment? The Eibishter. Who is the one that you're a Shem Masacha for? For the person, for the Shemer Aveda, for the Baal Aveda. So you're a Shemer Aveda. So maybe the Katz could be Shtariv the Vasa. That's why Rabbah holds that that's not called a Shem Masacha. That's a fringe benefit. What? That's a fringe benefit. So if that's a fringe benefit, you don't have that. Benefit to be called Shem Masacha. Therefore, the Gemara has to come up with a new reason. And the Gemara says, Rachmana Shabdei. And therefore, that's enough to make him do Hashem. So the obvious kasha is asked by the Imrei Bina, and already the Gedolah Achreinim. So Rachmana Shabdei. So he became a Shomer. But no, to anybody, yeah, like you said, but what made that a Shem Masacha? It doesn't answer the question. The question was Rabba El Shem Machina. Rabbi Yosef was Machar Shem Masacha and Yechayiv because of fruit of the Rabbi Yosef. No, Yechayiv Shem Masacha Yechayiv B'Gnei Aveda. The Gemara was looking for a reason, so the Gemara came up with a reason, and the Gemara said fruit of Rabbi Yosef. Obviously, the second teretz Ikadamri doesn't believe in fruit of Rabbi Yosef because there's problems with fruit of Rabbi Yosef. So what do we come up with? Rachmana Shabdei. But we're back to first base. Rachmana Shabdei. So you're a shomer. If you're a shomer, so why are you a Shem Masacha? The Gemara is not answering the question. The question of the sugi is what level shomer he is. So then why would the Gemara say he's a shomer socher instead of being a shomer chinam? That's the question that's asked by the Gedolah Achreinim. And because of this question, we could somehow come to the essence of what a shomer socher is. Because this Gemara could be a key to understanding what a shomer socher is. Everybody knows, anybody who learned in Yeshiva knows the first Mishnah in Perek HaMafkid. The Mishnah tells us in Perek HaMafkid, really, that is the Sugya de Kala. Perek HaMafkid is the Perek of Shomrim. And the Perek of Shomrim is that if you were Mafkid, you gave a behema to somebody to watch. And the behema was stolen. And then we caught the Ganef has to pay kefil. The question is, who does the Ganef pay kefil to? Does the Ganef pay kefil to the Shomer, or does the Ganef pay kefil to the Bailim? So the Mishnah says, if the Shomer paid, because let's say he was a Shomer Socha, so it was B'gneva V'Aveda, so he's Chayav B'gneva V'Aveda. If at the time it got stolen, he had a guilty conscience, and he didn't, he paid. Or if let's say he was a Shomer Chinam and he didn't want to swear and he paid. So we paid. And then subsequently the Ganef was caught. So the kefil goes to the shomer. And it's a ganze shtickle teire in the Gemara. How does it come to the shomer? Because the shomer somehow bought the animal by paying it. So with paying for paying back for the animal, lemafreya, retroactively, he was kind of the animal. But then the Mishnah says, but if he didn't pay, and then they catch the Ganef, the kefil goes to the owner. the kefil goes to the owners. So the Pnei Yeshua, right there on that Mishnah, which is really Rishonim's kasha, but the Pnei Yeshua puts it down very clearly. Ask the kasha, what's the chiddush of the sefer? I mean, what is the chiddush of the sefer? If he didn't pay, we catch the ganav, so the money goes to the owner. Why would we make a situation where we go to the shomer and then go to the owner, or maybe possibly just go to the shomer? Like the Pnei Yeshua, it's a chuchat lula. It doesn't make sense. Who's the shomer? What's the word that it goes to the? What would be the havamin? So some say you don't need a chiddush of it, but the Pnei Yeshua says no. The Pnei Yeshua says there would be a havamin that goes to the shomer, because the shomer is holding the animal, and the shomer was bershusay shel shomer. So since it was bershusay shel shomer, there's a chiddush din. Usually Geneva, Yeshua says, a double-leveled chiddush. We know if someone's goynef min haganef, some haganef stole something, and then someone comes and steals it from the ganef. The goynef min haganef doesn't have to pay kefir. Why doesn't the goynef min haganef have to pay kefir? Begunav mi beis hoish. Begunav mi beis hoish. It has to be. There's a tanai, a condition in the Torah. In order to be over Geneva, you have to steal it mi beis hoish. If you steal beis hoish, it's a Geneva. If it's not, it's not a Geneva. So that's begunav mi beis hoish. If it's gunav mi beis haganef, that's not called begunav mi beis hoish. So the Pnei Yeshua, if it was stolen from the shomer, it might be a chesaron in the whole inyan of Geneva, because now it was stolen from the shomer. It wasn't stolen mi beis hoish. So the Pnei Yeshua that you don't have to pay kefil b'chlal. So that's what the Sefer of the Mishnah is noting. The Sefer of the Mishnah is saying, so later I found that the Ritva and others cannot say it, because when they speak out this Mishnah, they say Yad Shomer ki Yad Balabayis. It sounds like that the Ritva is noting the Pnei Yeshua, that the Ritva is saying, because maybe it's not V'gunav mi beis hoish. Elomai, it is mi beis hoish, because Yad Shomer ki Yad Balabayis. The Shomer is ki Yad Balabayis, and therefore that's what the Mishnah is being machadish, that you would pay the kefir. He pointed to Kol Makul of Pshat the Pnei Yeshua. I have an animal, and the animal is grazing on Hefker field, in a Hefker field, in a completely no man's land field. A Ganav comes and steals that animal. Would someone in his wildest dreams believe that you wouldn't pay kefil? That's not v'guna mi beis hoish. Of course it's mi beis hoish. Beis hoish doesn't mean from the owner's barn. It means from the owner's ownership. Oh, so why? Why when someone steals from you, and then he's the ganef, and then there's a din, you have to have there's a din, you don't pay kefil. Anybody who learned in yeshiva knows there's such a thing as kinyane geneva. That the person who steals it is not just holding back my money. When someone steals something, so then he gets some sort of a bailus. The Torah, since the Torah was mechayev him as a ganef, so that creates, even though it's a very wicked kinyan, but it's a kinyan of Geneva. So when someone takes it from him, there's not mi beis hoish, because there's an effective ownership of the ganef. So when you take it from the ganef, you're not taking beis hoish. By a shomer is my worker. He's watching it for me. What's he doing? He's watching it for me. I have roofers in my house. I have people fix the windows, electricians. That's what the person's doing. He's watching my animal. If he's watching my animal, so it's like the animal is out grazing in the no man's land. What's the havamina of the Mishnah? That we need a special Mishnah to tell us that it's not mi beis hoish. What's the comparison to a ganef? When a shomer has the halacha of that a shomer won't have that din.
Except there's no bias.
You're right. There's no bias. There's no kinyan on a shomer. So we began with the shayla of a shomer socha. And how did the Gemara see that Rachmana Shabde makes it into a shomer socha? And Beis was saying over this Pnei Yeshua, and we want to know what would be this din. Well, it seems very, very clear. And it's muchach in many places. And I brought up the wrong Mirror Shmuel. And Mirror Shmuel, Masechtas Gittin Simon Chafei, brings B'Shem the Briskerov. You have a Becher Shmuel here?
Yeah, what?
Yeah, Gittin. Yeah, it's not here. I brought up the other two halakas by mistake. I brought them. He brings B'Shem the Briskerov that we're making a mistake about Sheinman.
Which is
Like the Simcha and Gittin. I don't know which chelik it is.
that's the problem.
It's not in my head. Yeah. So Zok the Briskerov. The Briskerov brings a murdik raya. When someone is a shomer on an animal, a brisker raya. Someone's a shomer on an animal. And the animal now, the owner says to yeah, I could read it from inside. I brought along another sefer that quotes it. Yeah, I think it's in Gittin there. Yes, and someone sends a shliach to tell the shomer, I want my animal back. There's a nidin in the Gemara that the shomer could say to the shliach, La bal dvarim didiat. I got it from Pliny. Pliny has to take it back. Now, the Gemara is not questioning the honesty of the shliach, and it could even be two shluchim who are edim. But there's a din, lav bal dvarim didiat. I have to make a return back to the owner. And if I don't make a turn, Zok the Briskerov, lav bal dvarim didiat? What's lav bal dvarim didiat? Lav bal dvarim b'chal. Who's the shomer? The shomer is just a person who has the animal for the owner. The owner wants it back. What kind of official process does the owner need, does the shomer need to be able to have to give it back? Zok the Briskerov v'nira, as quoted by the Becher Shmuel. Chazinon medivrei hagemara, the yesh schus lahanifkat ba'apikoden. The person who's the shomer is not just a watchman. The shomer has kinyone shemira. He took the object into his dominion. And therefore, kol kach, achim tofas echot chayfetz shel apikodim miyodoi al menas lahoshiv oisoi lebailim, yesh loi lahanifkat koyach loitzi mimenu b'din. The shomer has a right to stand up in Bezdin and say, I get the car back to watch, and I'll give it back to the owner. So he says, he brings other rayas, and therefore, therefore the Briskerov brings other rayas, and there's halachas, he says, and that's why you need das of the mafkid and the nifkad to give it back. Which the truth is, it's kemat beferish in Gemaras. The Gemara tells us you need meshicha when you make a shomer. So when you make a shomer, you're cutting it b'meshicha, because there's a halacha that you make meshicha b'shomer. So B'Kiva Eger in Baba Metzia Daf Mem Ches Amar Aleph asks, Eini Maven Ma Tiva Shel Meshicha b'shomer? Who Einoi Zoiche Klum b'meshicha so? Uvema Yischai b'meshicha. What are you being zoiche? He says Bishlema a shoyel. He's being zoiche in the usage of the object. So that's a kinyan. A shomer socher or shomer chinim is a job. I don't make meshicha on hiring somebody. So therefore there shouldn't be such a halacha. Al korcha, like the Briskerov, that the halacha is a shomer has an ownership right. Now it's not ownership; he doesn't own it. It's like kinyone gineva.
It's negative. He has chiyuvim.
He has chiyuvim, but according to the Briskerov, he has also rights. I don't know what he wants it, but he could tell somebody else, "You can't take it from me." That's also a positivity. That's a right. That's a right. That's not only a thing, and therefore there would be a halacha that he has a kinyan meshicha l'schayev b'shmira, because the yisoid of shmira is some sort of something is chal, something takes effect on the dover hanifgad, that now there's almost relationship between the shomer and the object, which is machayev him to return it. And since it's machayev him to return it, it's not just returning it, it's machayev certain halachas. And that's why maybe you could even understand why he's chayev even ba'insim, because in certain situations, the Shem Machinam is chayev b'pshia. Shem Masachar is even chayev in ba'insim. This Shitas HaRishonim that hold a gneva ba'ainis, a Shem Masachar is also chayev for. Even as long as it was in the tzura of gneva, he's chayev for it because he's mechuyev to give it back. Now, it really predates the Briskerov. The Machna Ephraim brings it b'shem harashba that he questions a fact. He says, if this is true, that you need a kinyan, and that's what kicks off the shomer, and that's what makes the same shem shomer. Frek the Machna Ephraim and Hilchas Shomerim Siman Zayin. Shomer tzorach kinyan l'schai b'shmira. Im higdim hamavkid schar la'shomer. If he gave the money to the shomer sachar before the shomer sachar made a mashiach in the animal, so the Machna Ephraim b'shem the Rashba, that he already has a achrayus of a shomer sachar at that point because he took the money. Frek the Machna Ephraim, if you're telling me, he's accepting like together what we were masber of the Briskerov, that there's a kinyan shmira, and that's the ultimate his chayv is to have to pay, and to have to watch, and then really to have to pay. So if you prepaid, how does that payment help? So therefore, the Machna Ephraim says maybe it's like a kinyan kesef. Well, he says, well, kinyan kesef, we will mavatal kinyan kesef. Money doesn't work. He says maybe it wasn't work because you don't have the problem of sorrowful mois of bechitecha of aliyah, son Israel aliyah. He says he doesn't know. They will mavatal it. Zokt in a sivis and Siman Reish Tzadik Aleph Sivkot Niyud Beis. That's why I brought this a lot for the Marmon Kemis. He says Zokt in a sivis muchach mizeh. That is a second din by Shomer. There's one din of Shomerim which you take bailus, and that's machayev you all your chiyuvei shmira. Zokt in a sivis by Shomer Sochar is nischadish another din. That by taking the money, you become a poil. And now you have a job to watch this animal. And if you don't perform at your job in the right way, you're chayiv. So the nesivis is not zweitig. So the adin shomer, which you took ownership and you're obligated to return, and with that obligation, you're chayiv. And a shomer socher is nischadish, that you also become a poil. And since you become a poil, that's what obligates you. And if you didn't perform at how you were supposed to perform, you have to pay for that. And that's what the din of Hashem is. I'll just read you the words of the Nesivis. The Nesivis says, Einoi kinyin kesef. Ze kemoi schiras poyalim. Kinyin kesef koina. Because it's a pu'ula. Umali shesochroi lasis melacha. The Bahagdomas Hamoyis Nasir Hashomer Poyol Lishmar. So therefore he's a poyol, and therefore he has to pay als the Hilchas Pu'ula. Nimtza that there are two dinim in the whole halacha of Shomerim. There's a halachas Shomerim, which is kinyan, and that obligates you about returning it. And then there's a halacha of Pu'ula. You have a job. And if you don't do your job correctly, so then you are derelict at your job, and therefore that's the oinus, that's the pshia, and therefore you have to pay it back. And that would be the halacha, there would be such a din. I just want to go back on one nukuda, which I jumped out to Pula. I want to bring a dimyan, what it means when something is in your rishus. L'moshel, another nafkamina l'din, just to say for Erechayim. In Masechta Beya, I hope everybody knows this halacha. It's a very interesting halacha. Someone in my neighborhood just recently had this shaila. He was staying in somebody's house, And the person let him stay in the house. And he went out and started, he's a guest. How does that? And, or let's say the case bad. He's walking in the street in Flatbush. There's such a place called Flatbush. Altaheim. And and he was walking in the street and suddenly it started pouring on Shabbos. He remembered his friend lives on the block and he's away for Shabbos and he knows his combination. He goes into his house and he says, oh, right, here's his Shana coat. And he takes out the Shana coat. He comes to shul. Someone says, you wasn't even supposed to rain. You brought along a Shana coat. Tells the Rav the story. I'm going in the street and it started raining. I went into the house. I took it out. The Rav said to Bismar Shuga, where's that guy for Shabbos? He said, that guy's in Lakewood for Shabbos. Out of the Tchum. And the person schleps with him, his nechasim all go according to the Tchum of where he is. So when you're taking it out of the Tchum.
Forget about Shas. Forget about
Hilchos Shomer. Forget about the Shomer. It's Hilchos Shabbos. It's Hilchos Shabbos. You're taking it out of the Tchum. What would be, right? What would be when the Shomer has it? And now, who tells Avek the Tchum? So we say the Shomer tells the Tchum. If it's just a job that he has, they're still the owners. If the pshat is like the Rizkarov and there's kinyonim, so it doesn't mean kinyonim for kinyonim. It's kinyonim to create a matzav of rishus. The rishus of the place is by the shomer. That puts much clearer, with more clarity of what the shomer is. The shomer is a person who's kaiveya the rishus. Now, besides that, Zokta Nesivas, there's a halacha.
Even a shayl, in the case of a shayl?
A shayl for sure. Shayl for sure.
This guy's a shayl, no?
No, we're talking about the first, not the shayl. Not the shayl. He took it, like you said, it's not, he's the shayl. He's becoming a shayl. I never gave it to him from the shayl. I'm talking about when you take it from a shayl. When he's appointing himself a shayl, the next case, that's too late. You have to take it from a shayl.
Why is it worse than the fact that it became a shul on Shabbos? Why is that worse than if he would have become? If he became a shul on Friday, the shul is allowed to take it wherever he wants.
Right. If he became a shoyl, you're saying if you become a shoyl, shaloi midas,
So
does he now kaveya the? Okay. First of all, there's no such thing as a shoyl.
So it would be different.
No, there's no such thing as a shoyl shaloi midas. Shoyl shaloi midas, the God. Yeah. So there is no shoyl shaloi midas. But if there would be, that would be the din of the kinyanim. I was just thinking,
if he has a consent to whenever he wants to come, he could borrow.
oh, then it's
Then it's not a shayl. Then you're talking still a shayl.
no. If you could take it, could you be a conditional shoyl? You could be a conditional shoyl.
Meaning that's when he took the shenko, he assumed that it was an umdana, that he lets me whenever I want.
Maybe that, no, it's not a mitzvah, it's a mitzvah. Not to get wet is a mitzvah. I can go in and take, okay, this is a whole different shayl of shayl with that.
Right. So now I want to go back. So let's just revenge. A shomer is a shomer. And we're saying that the side of the foundation of his chiyuv is the Torah's shomer, is the bailus, so to speak, the rishus that he created. Besides that, we proved that the Nesivas holds from the fact that you could prepay with money, and it's not a kinyan. There's shomer socher has a noisif halacha. There's a pu'ula, he's a poil, and he's chayiv midin the gavra. You can almost say it like there's a shomer mitzad the chefts of the davar nifkad, and there's a shomer mitzad the gavra, and that gavra would be the poil. And maybe that can happen with kesef, and that's exclusive to shomer socher. Im kain the Gemara is gewaldig. When someone's a shomer aveda, what is the first aleph base of Mashiach to make a kinyan? You know what the first thing of a kinyan is? Besides ganef. I mean, ganef is out of the box. But a normal kinyanim, you need a buyer and a seller. You're moishich from the buyer, from the seller, and then it enters into the rishus, so to speak, of the buyer. By an aveda, there is no seller. It's in the Rishus of Aveda. I picked up the Aveda and I took it. Can I have a Mashiach Dika ownership, even B'Teiras Shomer, on the Aveda? Very hard to understand that.
The Torah in the Shomer.
Right, the Torah made you into Shomer. What kind of Shomer could the Torah make you? The Torah is an outside party. The owner is the Baal Aveda. The Eibishter is the higher authority. And the higher authority says to you, you're a Shomer. That's a din in the Gavra, not in the Chetz, because I can't be Moshe.
You'd be like a pile. You're a deceiving like a pile.
You're an Asivas Dikapoil on a Shomer Aveda. So if you're a Shomer Aveda, a Papoil Dikadin, das meint die Gemara. So the Gemara, Rachmana Shabdei, the Torah di Mishabed given. And since the Torah was Mishabed you, Amar Rab Yosef, bist a Shomer Sacha. So you end up being, it'll come out an unbelievable nafkamina ladin. You wouldn't have the Briskerov's din on a Shomer Aveda, which is, we'll get to that in a second. You can't say La Baldvarim Didiyat, because the whole La Baldvarim Didiyat only applies when it's a din mitzad the Chefza of the Davra Nifkat. But when it's a din mitzad the Gavra, then you wouldn't have that din. So Shomer Aveda, that's the Taich in the Gemara, Rachmana Shabdei. So since it's Rachmana Shabdei, that's the key point, that it is a din of a Shomer Sacha. So we see that Shomer Sacha has a different component. It has a component mitzad the halacha of Shomer Sacha of Poil, like the Nesivis, Simaresh Tzadik Aleph, Sivkot Yud Beis, but there is a din of Mashiach. So now it'll be Choluk Mamish Shomer Chinam from Shomer Sacha. Shomer Chinam exclusively could only have the halacha of mitzad the Chefza, mitzad the Davra Nifka, and Shomer Sacha would not have. So Baruch Hashem, this morning I opened up a sefer, the sefer Chavatzelos Hashon Parshas Kisvei. I was in shul, and he's mitzayin on a different inyan. He's mitzayin an Or Sameach Perik Yud Schirus Halacha Aleph. That the Or Sameach says, Shomer Chinam Mutal Alav Lahanichai B'Mokem Hamishtan. All a Shomer, he wants the unbelievable Ramei Simcha. A Shomer Chinam has to just put the object in a safe place because he has ownership of Shmira. So he's Makayim, his obligation, by putting it in safekeeping. So Ramei Simcha, V'ilu Shomer Sacha, Nishtabit Liyos Kipoyel Lishmar. So his obligation is on him. Dr. Meir Simcha takes it to another level. He has to stand there physically and watch that object. So since he has to watch that object, that's why the Gemara says all over that, like we learned from Yaakov Avinu, that a Shomer Sacha has to stay there. And even if he buried it 50 feet under the ground and someone took it ba'onis, he would be chayiv according to many Rishonim. So to Meir Simcha, because a Shomer Sacha is a din on him. He can't even depend on it being watched in his rishus, and therefore there would be such a halacha, and that's what I think would be the hesber of this. Just want to finish off with one last thing. It sounds like a davar drush, but it has a halacha. The Eirach Chaim HaKadosh in Parshas Mishpatim says that a person's life, the neshama, your essence of life, is a pekadon from Hashem. And he says it's a pekadon like a she'ela. So therefore, kol hanois shaloi, you're the shoyel on the neshama. Shoyel is chayiv ba'insin. So the Eirach Chaim HaKadosh in Parshas Mishpatim, because if we're in the situation of an oinus, we're defiling our neshama, which is a pekadon from Hashem. So if it's kol hanoi shalei, forget about Gnei Vaveda. You should be chayav b'insin. Sagt Eirach Chaim HaKadosh. Ba'al avimai. Sagt Chaim HaKodesh, because if you take the Eibishter, who's the Baal HaPakodin, and you're working for him, or he's working for you, better to say. So then you have a tour of Baal of Imoy, and then even a Shoyal is Potter. So steht in Chaim HaKodesh, Parshas Mishpat. One time, so I said, that's why it's important to wake up with a positivity. Hashem. That's why you got to go to shul. And you got to learn before davening. Is because you got to. What is the halacha of a shoyel? When is there a din of Baal of Imoy? B'shas she'ela, not b'shas the oinsin when it happened. It all has to start. I'm sure there's going to be other shurim. It goes back. It has to be the bailam. Have to be the bailam b'shas when you make the she'ela. So you make the she'ela. That's when you become Baal of Imoy. So it's all important to make sure that you do it b'shas when you wake up. I said it's much harder than that. Chaim Brisker was walking in the street with Reb Meir Simcha. And this story I saw originally quoted in the Kuntrasei Shiurim from Rav Gustman Zatzal. He quotes this conversation. And Reb Meir Simcha asked Reb Chaim, if you're a Shomer Aveda, and unwittingly, the Baal Aveda is working for you, or you're working for him. So there's a Baal of Imoy. Is the Shomer Aveda potter on anything that happens to that Aveda? It's Baal of Imoy.
Make a trick.
Not a trick here. It ended up happening that way. So, Meir Simcha, why don't we ever find a din of Baal of Imoy by Shomer Aveda? So there should be a din of a Shomer Aveda. Meir Simcha had this question, and he asked the Reb Chaim. Lafi, what we're saying, I don't know if there's the regular din of Baal of Imoy, maybe Baal of Imoy, because over here you're a poil for the Eibishter almost. I'm not sure who's the
There's only one sheet. There's only one sheet. There's like an Ikadamri in
Baal of Imoy.
No. This thing of Pearl of the
Oh, you mean according to my right?
It's
According to my
this,
right.
and then there's another
Right, of course, another Mahalach, how to learn.
Yes.
Reb Chaim hat gesagt, Reb Chaim hat gesagt, it's gewaltig. When is the hiring point of the Shomer Aveda? When is when is the Shomer Aveda hired? So Reb Chaim, Shomer Aveda was never hired. The Koyach HaTorah, every second that he's watching the Aveda, is mechayev him to be the Shomer Aveda. So Reb Chaim, Shomer Aveda is every single second. So you don't have a Tchilas HaShomer, a Kabbalah Shomer. So you'd need Baal of Imoy every single second, like a rehiring every second. So Reb Chaim said, "Kamat le'motzinu yadeinu v'ragleinu, le'motzanu yadeinu v'ragleinu." Every single second. That's why we answered Reb Meir Simcha that there's no din of a Shomer Aveda on. There's no din Baal of Imoy Shomer Aveda. Lefida Chaim HaKodesh, that you have to come on to Baal of Imoy to be potter from Einstein, means you have to come on to Baal of Imoy. We're not better than a Shomer Aveda. Every second you're getting life. So therefore, every single second you have to have al das Rishayna Isa, that you're making a Baal of Imoy with the Eibishter. So if we're all doing that, it's Baruch Hashem, the Shiva's here. So everybody to listen and to be mechazik ourselves in these inyanim, keep on the learning Torah with a starkheit, with an iyon. We'll be zeicher the Torah meginu matzla, achtay v'chesed, psuras tay v'shiyos.
Everybody stay where they are.